Tired of the hoops? Who is really there for us, past the glitz and glitter? What remains? Where do we return to when all else has gone? The upcoming new moon in Cancer encourages us all to look at the truth of our situation, the emotional wisdom that leads us back to what is important. From here, we move beyond the promise of tomorrow, living in the now, coming home to the anthem of our own heart. It's 12:12 on the 7/7 portal, and I don't want to be here. Writing, talking about the same things. I want to be outside, in the sunshine, with my mother, the earth, listening, talking, laughing, crying, and creating together. Planting seeds and giving homes to the abandoned plants on Facebook Marketplace. Covering the soil of my allotment, nurturing the ground I feed from. Drumming, singing, dancing. Connecting to the growth that has happened on many levels from the vision I have of it within. Instead, I'm sat once again in front of my laptop, researching information about the upcoming new moon, ironically on the day of my late mother's birth, from sources that seem to have no oomph for me anymore. Uninspiring, lacking in relatability, based purely on where I am. A place that tires of looking outside and longs to come home to my own view of spirituality. And in this space of familiar oddity, I can feel a well-known sense of frustration, despondency even, towards the time I spend writing about life in comparison to living it, whilst ironically encouraging others to do just that. Hypocritical, inauthentic, and boring. It all needs uprooting, the systems of repetition I found myself in. Because like my bay tree this morning, the source of Kintu leaves and prayers, bound by its own structure, forced into spaces far too small for convenience and belonging, I too am finding myself less willing, emotionally, to be squeezed into environments that no longer help me flourish, none more so than those of my own making. So, instead, having spent the weekend aligning with the earth, speaking with the Pachamama of this town, my own mother, in such a profound way, aware of potential resentment around reciprocity, I am thankfully allowing the subconscious, emotional wisdom, albeit uncomfortable at times, to rise and show me the necessary balances in my life that it is my responsibility to restore. Something we will all be encouraged to sense into with the upcoming Cancerian lunar phase, offering a powerful opportunity for renewal if we lean into the intentions now centered around the one aspect that will ground our personal growth. Home, the willingness to come back to it, tending the thoughts we hold around expectations and what we've actually built as a result, guiding us to honour our own deep, irrational, in some instances, feelings, especially around security, safety and support, particularly the patterns around what we give, receive and hope for within outdated, domesticated long-term visions. In short, the way we see ourselves, our differences and our uniqueness needs to shift if we wish to increase our impact on the situations we find ourselves part of. Sometimes it may not make sense. Who we are can often stand out. There is always a longing to belong in order to survive. But this new moon asks us to consider the cost of that, not only to ourselves, but to the world we wish to create. Maybe the alternative view is exactly what is needed. Perhaps the only opposition is the conflict we have with our own consciousness. Coinciding with Mercury retrograde, square Saturn in Aries, we would all be best served by going within and reassessing the boundaries we have adhered to and the beliefs we have yet to embrace. Reflecting on emotional repetition, giving it space and receiving any clarity around a situation, rather than resenting its manifestation through our own mental loop-based actions. The speed of life itself has changed, not in time as such, but in vibrational field, activating a cellular knowing within, that for those prepared to confront their limitations, including any we may have seen as gifts, duties, or even offerings, will bring forth an intuitive discipline and a restructuring of responsibility for our own lives. With Venus square Uranus forming a yod, patterns and insights into love, finances, values, and necessary adaptations become the source of new approaches. As Jupiter moves through Leo, we are each encouraged to look at where we may need more creative bravery, spiritual awareness, and the stamina to pursue outcomes with greater heart connection. Simply put, if we want different, we must be willing to be it. Observing structures reflected in others and shifting perspectives through the decisive actions required to bring anything home within, none more so than our own desires. Which means ultimately recognizing and being honest about what they are, taking agency for any misalignment, especially the deeper understanding of who we could be when in service. Happening in the third decan, linked to the Four of Cups in the Tarot, whilst the moon is comfortably held by her own sign, with the sun in the at times over-analytical minds of the celestial twins, we may feel restless. In conflict, thanks to Gemini, between our higher calling and our lower understanding of physical responsibilities. Suggesting any external calm has the internal effort of a swan treading water, as this position often comes with less than moderate emotional expression, which, when aided by the winged messenger of communication deep diving into the past, could bring forth lingering memories, not only in our own bodies, but in that of the earth beneath us, opening, in many ways, an internal truth to assess where our devotion is being invested through the vast difference between compassion and self-sacrifice. Fluctuating from optimism to doubt, affection can swiftly move to resentment, depending on the confidence we have in our own vulnerability. Does it always need to be shared? What responses are we hoping for? Can we not provide them ourselves? An almost upending, opposing reflection of 2020 astrologically. This new moon promotes a deeper look at the communities we are part of, our emotional wisdom, and the depth of relatability to the environment we find ourselves within, not just around. The internal home, that from now on we'll be asking how far we have come. Can we stand in our own diversity or continue to become the pitfalls of someone else's dream? Rather than react, the emphasis here is to allow patience to become the genuine return of loyalty, or the loyal return to what is genuine. Advising we make space and wait, no matter how reassuring the uncomfortable, familiar actions of the past may be. Because underneath them is a knowing that was once forgotten, very long ago, many times over, from the fall of grace, the submersion of ancient cities, to every time we feel unsafe simply being who we are. Our own creative expression. That thanks to Saturn brings with it a choice around identity and how we wish to be seen, which may not correspond with our current personas. What if we were to move beyond them, no matter how long they have taken to form, collectively weaning ourselves off the old earth? Would the addictive alignment to the past, even that which we may be unaware of, continue to suppress any long-standing change? The answers reside in how well we utilize this productive, no less combustible energy to make cautious but distinctive plans. So by the time Mercury stations direct on the 23rd, a day into Leo season, sextiling Venus in Virgo, could begin to gain presence through structure and discipline. Application. A buzzword that is only as reliable as its, application. There's no more talking without action. Communication has always been a response, a vibrational offering that has often been underestimated or manipulated. A reality that, with the shift of the North Node into Aquarius by the 27th, will be seen by all in the collective, illuminating, of course, our own limitation-based language within it. The need for drama to create change is becoming boring. Our bodies know a different way, one of connection, love, play, and light, which Jupiter in Leo is expanding, meaning all outdated systems are being overstretched, our own especially. And by the full moon in Aquarius 2 days later, the more egocentric behaviors are set to be replaced by community-based expressions. Wound manifestation isn't enough anymore. Medicine has two sides. For those who consume merely the lessons, sickness will increase. We were all shown 6 years ago the impact on health from top-down control. Our mind and body relationship is no different. Moderation is essential, meaning with the Sun-Jupiter conjunction occurring from the 18th until the 9th of August, we can expect relationships, conflicts, be that personal, work, or with ourselves, to be heightened, removing and leading us inevitably back from the blinding lights of external distraction to the recognition of what, who, and where brings us hopeful optimism for the future, over the arrogant behavior, power struggles, and alienation of what is arguably the greatest show on earth. That being said, if we can not only notice but work with the spirals occurring, deep in the knowing of our own celestial, emotional, physical bodies, listening to what is really being spoken, there is great potential for empowerment, both towards intuition, the inner child so desperately being avoided, and the rise of the healer within. As we use this threshold to sense the ancestral, somatic, ancient wisdom enticing us to cross over and create a new map of it all, the navigation of which can only be found in the sacred pools of remembrance, with depths matching the levels of information within our own experiences that we are able to travel to. All of which means softening, despite the outer narrative, letting ourselves become sensitive, surrendering to this natural connection to ourselves. Bringing together the Sun, Moon, and Mercury, albeit retrograde, this is about our inner experiences and accepting the impact they have around us. For the known and at times unknown stories we are continuing to carry, not to eliminate, but revisit, respond, and reclaim what is innate yet forgotten, freeing ourselves from the never-ending story of tomorrow. By openly receiving the anthem of our heart as the promise to start making something else, over the circus of trying to belong somewhere we do not, in the opinions, validation, and vision of others. The fact is, how someone sees us is none of our business, and this return to wholeness will build more opportunities rather than continue to defend the abandonment of separation. As Neptune dissolves the boundaries to illuminate communications of power within the collective field, ensuring that with expansive perception comes vast possibilities. Expect hierarchy structures to be replaced, from government through to monarchy if history is anything to go by, as the world remembers within her core something else, another time where wealth meant connection and community. Abundance took the form of nature, and family went beyond culture's status, blood, religious preferences, or even galactic lineage. As this light increases, so too will the sight of our own potential. That does not make this the time to act on everything. There is still information to be uploaded from inside, especially pertaining to what we really want or who we are within it. We may need to question the false starts, overconfidence, or misplaced emotions and ask ourselves, really, what's up? By looking at the reflections in front of us. Happening on the 14th of July at 9:44 a.m. in the UK, providing the vibrational frequencies of the Fool, Magi, High Priestess, Emperor, Hierophant, Lovers, Strength, Hermit, Wheel of Fortune, Death, Star, and Empress overall, by walking gently upon the belly of our mother, creating with focus, balance, and experience. We move alongside the wisdom of choice, rather than fight, force, or fear it. Releasing the past with all we decide to take forward, in the intuitive, grateful light of our own divinity. The constantly evolving tribute of our time here that reminds us who our presence was for. As we dare to dream her vision into being by seeing ourselves as the creators of our creations through the eyes of our Creator. May we always hear the love of the Great Mother in everything we decide to do. In deepest munay, I ask you now, who is the real ringleader? You know where I am. Take care. Kirsty.